This is James Heaston, and most of you know that, and those of you who don't, I'm just that pudgy old woodworker there that you like to watch. Today I'm going to ebonize oak, and this here, I got a couple of good pieces here of white oak, and then I've got a few pieces of white oak, and it doesn't matter. They're all going to turn black. Now I'm going to do that. I have in this little jar here, I know you might think that's Killian Reds. This fooled me a couple of times, and but anyways, this is a good dose of just cheap white vinegar, and then the rest of it's water. And then I put a good little chunk of clean steel wool. I sprayed it off with some degreaser type stuff so there wasn't a grease in there and it would be able to rust. What we want to get is the iron oxide. And this is a month's worth of setting. That takes probably a good 2 weeks to really get it to working, but right now it is working really fine. So I'm going to start out here. We got a little bit of protection on the table. I didn't want to get any of this on the table because with moisture I'm at my friend Dan Harmon's cabinet shop, and I don't want him to get this iron oxide on his hands, and then whenever he handles the oak and stuff, that it could turn it, actually it'll turn it blue. So, but that's a whole nother story. So right here, this is my base. This is a mini ball winder for those that do knitting, and it makes it a ball, like you buy a ball of string. You see how it goes up and down and everything. This is the type of apparatus that'll do that. And we'll just take this, and I'm gonna smear this on here. Now when I get done here, when this all dries and everything, well, I'll have to sand it again to get the nibs off, because it's going to raise the grain. And you see that there working? It's pretty just doggone fascinating, I think it is. When I had it, when it was newer, it just didn't take off this quick. I'm trying to make this so you can see her. That's end grain. That's going to turn dark right about now. Okay. Set that to the side there. Those little pieces. Now I'll be showing you here later on in this video how I put this back together and how it works. This is just not about the ebonizing, but I just wanted to make a video once in my life and say I'd done it. You just get her on there, smear her on. Okay, this here's a piece of red oak. You can see already just my hands being damp how that's getting on there. And sometimes, if you're one of them old timers and stuff that uses a spoke shave, you got metal handles. And you got a hot day and you're working along there, and all of a sudden you start seeing blue spots on your wood. You just touch it like that, and it'll start turning blue, and then it'll turn purple. And if you're working with your dad, you got to be quick and get that cleaned off there before he skins you alive. I really wish I could have taken the time and show you how I built this, but that was not to be. It took me actually quite a bit of time to come up with this and figure out how to get everything to work for me. So, and there you are, folks. And I hope you're enjoying this. We'll get the rest of the video going here at a later date, and we'll keep going with it. Thank you for your time. Okay, here we are. We put the iron oxide on the oak and ebonized it. It came out really beautiful. Now what I did after that, adding that will raise the grain. So what we got now is we need to hit that off, and I took 400 grit sandpaper, and I just slightly askew to the grain direction. I sanded it one way and then the other to, to get them off, and then to take my scratches out. I finished up by going with the grain. And this all turned out really well. My buddy Dan there, he got them finished for me. They're just absolutely beautiful. I'm just so tickled with this. And as you can see, it's all, and it's not all black. We got some pieces here, this and here, they didn't take in there some of it. I don't know why, but I like that. I like that. It's not painted, it's stained. It's a chemical reaction, whatever you want to call it. So right now I'm going to try and assemble this, and I'll tell you about how I assembled it. I did a lot of things here. For one thing, none of this is done with wood screws. Okay, this has all been tapped and worked on to get it done. So I actually had to screw this rod into there. And you're saying, well, what in tarnation did you do that for? Well, because you know how you lock a nut, you put one nut on top of another, and you can lock them in there and they stay. Well, that's what we got to have, because of all the turning, it's either going to make it tighter or it's going to make it looser. So that was the system I came up for that. So we'll screw this in there, and try not to be too boring at this. And this is where it worked out well. You say, well, how do machine threads, wouldn't that be weaker and everything than regular wood screws? Well, not really. It's rather strong. I'm pleased with it. I can tighten these up here. I mean, I'm not killing them, but I can snug them up here pretty good. At least enough to slip off and hit me in the, And now that's tight. I got a lock bolt up here, a nut I'm going to have to snug down here later on. Okay. This is my tensioner, and it adjusts accordingly. See, I need this here, goes in here. This here goes in here. What this does is, this is your least amount of tension, because your thread will be coming through this way. If you decide to go clear over here, that's, you bringing that around and back that way, you're going to have a lot more tension. So now we'll just put it right there. Maybe I won't bust my knuckle on it. Here's this here. And just take that and shove her down in there. I got that adjusted height-wise. I'll show you here later. Remind me. So now then, we got to have this in here. I had to make these washers. I had to make them just a little bit smaller. Now these are 5/16, but a 1/4-inch washer just fits over it. And it really makes it nice and tight. And I had to take these and ground them down a little bit so they would fit on the inside and not touch the outside of the washer or the bearing. And the way I did that is I put them on the thing here, I put nuts on both ends, and I stuck them up to a sander, and I just let it spin and grind and take it off. So, and then that just worked great. I didn't try to make it any specific size. There's only one that I ever did that with, and it's such a specific size it's still stuck in there. And so, okay. Now then, this here goes in there. I had a lot of fun. There's a lot of challenges in this. One thing was drilling these holes. I had to get that one right down in there. I got like a 30-second on each side. And I gotta make sure that's down far enough, or it'll goof me up later. That just slips down over there. That's on there, and that'll spin around there like that. Now then, we got this here. Now I got that lock down below. I can just take this here and well, it has dandy. That's just the way I like it. Okay, now I kind of did this ahead of time. This is a real pain to do. But here, another threaded thing. Now, another thing I did here, I don't know how you guys try to live without a Dremel tool, but I cut notches in there. I don't know, can you zoom in on that there, Kermit? And you can see I cut little slots across there. And that way I can put a screwdriver to it and use it, that way. And I got another little screwdriver to use on the other one there. Actually, I had to grind the sides down a little bit so it'd fit up in there if I needed to go up in there further. But anyways, I can get this started. See how simple that works? About as simple as me. And speaking of simple me, I gotta put this O-ring on here. Very important. Don't have that on there, you don't have the rubber grip. One thing I needed to do in making this was I had to put a 45-degree angle on top of this shaft. And that wasn't too hard to do. You just went up to your sandal, you used your combination square without the thing in it, and you can get it real close, and I spun it. And I made it so that the scratches went up and down this way, they didn't go around. And that way I think I get a better tread, and it makes it spin, because this has got to spin because it's running against the spindle here, the shaft. Now then, whole thing. Now, a couple things I got on this here part. This here stuff, it's that slick tape. You generally want to put it like on your thing here, it makes it work really well. Well, I got it and I started cutting things out of it, and it's got a real good adhesion. I got this at Peachtree Wood Products, and I got a little piece of it there on the end. And I actually took a couple of strips and I put them around there, so that there will slide in there just fine. Now let me take that, get this put on the thing here before it's a big problem. And another thing you can do, when you go to thread these in and you got just a regular tap and die set, all you got to do, you don't have to have the perfect exact hole because it's wood, and it's just going to cut it out to exactly what it needs to be. If you need a 1/4-inch hole, you don't need just the one just under it, because it's not metal and it's not going to make a difference. You do need a hole, granted on that, but there we go. Okay. Now, I got that on there. I got that, so that'll spin. Okay. Well, we're just about done here. This is I don't know where you get this, but these are a type of drive belt. They use them on scroll saws and all kind of stuff. You got a little groove in there, and there she's going to take off spinning. That feels good there. That's good there. Here's my little, this is what all the hoopla is about. Get that so it'll be on there. That's where you wrap your thread around. You can probably tell I don't have the same clothes on I did a second ago there. we had trouble, and I had to work on something here. I couldn't get this to wind up properly. It was just hanging out the bottom. It was really hanging out the top. So I'd seen on the internet they had these cone, probably was already built into the plastic ones that they had. So I made this one up here, just made a 5-inch circle, cut a straight line in there, punched a 1/4-inch hole with a punch. I tried drilling it, and I just didn't, you'll get fuzzy edges. And then I just moved it over. I don't know if you can tell there how much I moved it over. Put double-sided tape underneath there, set her down, trimmed her off. Looks real dandy, works really great. This was a little kind of an eyeball shaped thing. I didn't know if it'd be tight, and boy, I tell you what, it's just perfect. Slides down on there. How's that for a fit, huh? So now that's how it works. This all turns. We got her rolling, and I'm going to roll up a string here for you. Hopefully it won't get too cranky on us. They do have a tendency to do that. Can you see that there? You get too many of that, and then you got problems. But most of the time they'll pull out. We got some string down here over the edge here. What we got going on here? Now another thing I want you to do is kind of keep an eye here. I'm sure Dan will cut here and stuff and everything, but you watch, this thing is going to pull right out of there, and you'll look through that. This all goes right. So here we go. Hang on to your hats, boys. I know, this is really interesting, isn't it? They're going crazy. I don't want to go too fast. You just want a good constant speed. I have real light pressure on the string here coming through. See it coming right out of the center there like you want it. And you notice, you probably can't tell, for all honesty, that it's going up and down on the thing. But obviously it is the way it's starting to look. I did consider maybe making a cone for the top. If she starts having issues with that, I guess I will. But as it's going right now, and I say she, I mean my stepdaughter, or my daughter. I don't know if you can notice over here in the ball, you're starting to see light come through it. It's kind of sinking down. That's all coming right out of the center right there. See it? We're trying to slow it down a little bit, see if you can see it as it goes up and down. See how it's coming out of the thing here? It's the way it's supposed to eat it up. But it's not supposed to jump up there and go in there all at once. There she is. And there's a pretty decent little cake here. That would just tickle my daughter to death there. She'd be real happy with that. So I hope you enjoyed my demonstration and the things I went through with this. I'll tell you what, there was a lot of frustration I had in trying to do this and figure out how to do things. And tell you, I'm not that I'm any genius. It's just the good Lord had to help me. I had to figure out a way how to make this and the screws and just all kind of things. I'm really proud of the little knob here I made, 3-sided. I come up with an idea to do that, and then how to make this here piece here. This is a trick and a half. And boy, I tell you what, if you don't have a shopsmith, I don't know how you do woodwork. Everything must be square and flat. But So this is it. Dan did a beautiful job finishing this thing. Even if it didn't work, I think maybe I'd hang it up on my mantle just to look at it. It's just quite an item. And we didn't stain none of this. This is all that iron oxide from that little mixture I come up with, and spread that on there. You can probably find other stuff on the internet about it. It's not a problem. So, alrighty. Well, I thank you for viewing my video, and you all have a good life. God bless.